Misandry is defined, literally, as a hatred of men. But the way it's defined today, I think lacks a certain clarity that I'm going to acknowledge. Now, men's rights activists will point to men's lower mortality rates, including higher rates of suicide, which includes among trans men, by the way, are being subject to military drafts, the unfair treatment men receive when they are victims of domestic violence or rape, and the typical dismissal of men who seek spousal support or child custody in divorce proceedings, regardless of the effect it has on them, as forms of misandry. Now, the thing that men's rights activists get wrong is that they say misandry is a direct result of, or a core component of, feminism. And that feminism is causing this misandry to exist in order to further or maintain advantages for women. However, the reason that these disadvantages exist for men is actually because of rigid social expectations we as a society put on genders, expectations that are directly correlated to systemic misogyny. Women have to be this, men have to be this as a result. Women are supposed to be nurturing, caring, and are allowed to express emotions. Terms and conditions apply. They're also categorized as weaker and more fragile, making their protection a priority over men. More terms and conditions will apply. All of these traits are then classified as being feminine. As a result of women being forced to adhere to their gender role, men are forced to do the same. Men have to be strong, protective, and stoic, or translated as devoid of any emotion that isn't associated with aggression, dominance, or lust, essentially. And any displays of these feminine traits means that they'll be socially outcast for not being a real man. Which is odd, because somehow that's simultaneously both dependent and not at all dependent on whether you have a cock and balls. Anyways, if you're a real man, you're tough, you're strong, and you don't get sad. So you should be more than happy to die for your country. More than happy to give up money to support a fragile woman. Tough enough to fight through any hardship. Stoic enough to push through any bad thoughts. And if you refuse to do the tough, back-breaking, obscenely dangerous job offered to you, or engage in any of that womanly caring about emotions bullshit, we'll treat you like garbage. So, social discrimination against men occurs as a direct consequence of a misogynist worldview. One that puts women in this weaker category, resulting in men being forced into this stronger category, with no room for nuance or expansion. Now, some feminists, not all, but some, will argue that this means misandry doesn't exist, because the discriminatory experiences that men face in society is just an extension of misogyny. And I'm not here to deny that. What I am here to say is, I think if I met a dude who experienced any of those things and called that experience misandry, and then I decided to lecture him from the position of someone privileged enough to have been afforded the time, energy, formal education, and mental faculties to deep dive into a topic like this, and then I told him that misandry isn't real, and thus basically told him what he was experiencing doesn't exist, he'd probably flip me the bird, and then go running into the waiting arms of dudes who will acknowledge his feelings, and then we probably have another manosphere dickhead out in the world to deal with. Which I think is bad. So, I propose a compromise, a new definition of the word misandry that acknowledges the truths inherent in the feminist perspective, but doesn't discount the very real feelings of injustice felt by men in a society that mistreats them. So, here is my proposed definition. Misandry, a form of social discrimination against men, one that is the result of culturally reinforced gender stereotypes, stereotypes which are a direct extension and consequence of the misogyny inherent in our patriarchal system. It's a bit wordy, but by using this definition, we can acknowledge the obvious patriarchal misogyny stuff, but without dismissing men's feelings when they experience discrimination. I'm just going to piss off people on all sides with this one. Oh well, see you in the comments.